In today's breakdown, we are deep diving into the 2020 release horror thriller psychological film that is The Night House. So the story actually begins with the introduction of the character of the Beth, and that is played by none other than the talented Rebecca Hall, and we have seen her in many of the movies. So she she is a high school teacher right here. It is just mourning over her husband Owen, who recently died by suicide, and Owen just left behind no apparent reason for his actions, except for a very cryptic suicide note that just read aloud, that is, you were right, there is nothing and nothing is after you and you are safe now. So this is something that is written on the cryptic suicide note. And Beth is haunted by guilt over their strained relationship that they had before his death. She reveals to her best friend Claire that she has accused Owen of hiding something suspicious that now just gnaws at her as she questions the depth of their relationship that they once had. Even though Beth tries to find the comfort in the daily routines, her nights are just plagued by silence and emptiness in the lakeside home Owen had just designed and built for them. And she just drinks heavily and drowning her pain, but her emotional spiral just hints at something deeper and a void that she has just felt since a near-death experience that has happened with her a year ago, and that just still haunts her actually. And we see that one that mirrors the cryptic nature of the Owen's note that he has found. And not long after Owen's death, the strange and unexplainable event just begins to occur more than so ever around the house. And at night, Beth just hears the loud banging noise that just seems to come from the lake actually. But she can't generally find that what is behind that, and that are just jarring her from her restless sleep. At first sight, she just thinks that it is kind of a weird nightmare she is having that. But slowly she realizes that are not nightmare and that are actually reality. So she really cannot distinguish what is happening with her. She also notices lights turning on and off by themselves, and there is no actual logical explanation behind that. And her stereo begins playing their wedding song on its own, and that gesture, I think, that just feels simultaneously romantic and sinister at the same time because you don't know the cause actually. And Beth starts feeling the presence of something very unseen, an entity that grows bolder with each passing night. One evening she feels a very much invisible force that is just lying next to her in a bed, and the mattress is just dipping as if someone is present there. Although this experience just frightened her, and Beth's grief just compels her to stay in the house, and she wonders whether this event could be Owen reaching out to her. But the sense of dread she feels just suggests that something far more darker, far more sinister is at play, and this is not something light, but this is something to be taken seriously because it can just have a very hazardous effect. And one night Beth notices something very unsettling, that just while looking into her bathroom mirror, her reflection just seems delays as it is if moving just a split second behind her. But what's truly terrifying her is that the reflection just smirks when she isn't smiling. So this is really weird, not matching up to that. As Beth just stares into the mirror, the reflection just begins to move independently, turning away from her and disappearing into the darkness. The moment leaves her paralyzed with fear, and she just turns to look behind her, and she sees something there. The mirror just becomes a symbol of duality, a recurring motif that just hints at the reverse house and another reality that is connected to that. And this brief just uh, chilling moment just deepens Beth's paranoia, making her question not only the supernatural forces around her but also her own perception of reality. And it suggests that the entity isn't just external, it may already have a foothold inside her mind. And determined to find answer, Beth just begins going through the Owen's belongings hidden in his office. She discovers a series of very strange and disturbing items that is a picture of women who look just really similar to her, kind of, I think, very much similar. So floor plans for their house with a just reverse layout and books on occult rituals. So one of the books actually discusses the luring and the binding of dark entities, suggesting that Owen had been studying that how to protect her from something malevolent or something that is not from this forces or from this planet, something very unsettling, something very more sinister and devastating at the same time. Beth also finds a receipt for a nearby bookstore and that just hints that Owen had been deeply involved in the research shortly before his death. And in one of the scenes, we see that after night that she wakes up after accidentally having so-called nightmare, or if it is not a nightmare that is actually happening to her, and she just deep down goes into the forest, and where she reaches a cave-like structure or something like that. I think this is the area where the character of the Mel is actually residing near that area, and here we find the doll, or I don't know what is the typical or exact name for that ritual, that is I think called as voodoo doll or something like that. And that doll is just, I think, having the pointed needle and those stitching into her, suggesting that it is just uh, having a very more darkful and sinister way, and just trying to torture her. So she confronts Mel about that, but Mel was just unaware of that thing, and he was surprised and shocked at the same time, because even he don't know the thing. After that, her investigation leads her to Madeline, one of the women in the photos, and during their tense conversation they were having, Madeline just admits to meeting Owen, but insists that their encounter wasn't romantic at all, and instead Owen had been studying her, asking her cryptic questions about the fear, death, and identity, and leaving Beth even more disturbed. Still unable to shake her suspicion, Beth arranges to meet Madeline again, but this time Madeline is just more forthcoming, revealing that Owen had behaved as if he were under a spell during the interaction, and she recalls how his question had a very obsessive and ritualistic quality, as if he were following some kind of a specific instructions. So Madeline recounts how Owen asked about her near-death experiences and whether she had just ever felt a void or emptiness, much like Beth describes after her own brush with the death, and the revelation unnerves Beth actually, who just begins to connect Owen's behavior to her own unresolved trauma that she is having now, and Madeline's description of Owen just paints him as both desperate and haunted, and torn between his love for Beth and darkness, threatening to consume him, and the encounter just deepens Beth's internal conflict, because she really struggles to reconcile with her husband that she once loved and the secret that he kept. As Beth just dives deeper into the Owen's hidden life, she begins experiencing vivid dreams and hallucinations. And on one night, she dreams of walking through the reversed house, its layout eerily just familiar but entirely wrong. And the wall just seems to pulse with an very unseen, very unusual energy, and Beth just feels herself being watched. In the dreams, we see that Beth just sees herself as both the victim and the antagonist. And she's just manipulated by the unseen forces, and she just awakens with the bruises on her body, suggesting that the events of the dream were far more real than she had initially believed, and the supernatural connection or the unearthly connection just grows stronger, pulling Beth closer to the entity that she seems to have haunted Owen for years. And the reverse house just becomes a symbol of Owen's attempt to outsmart the void, but it also, I think, trapped the Beth in its sinister design. And Beth experiences take an even darker turn when she begins revealing the fragmented memories. In each or one of the such visions, she finds herself standing in the reversed house where she witnessing the Owen in the final days, and he's seen just arguing with her entity, shouting, "You can't have here, you can't have her." So this is a line that is just going on right there before smashing a mirror in frustration. Actually, the scene just plays out in reverse, as if time itself is unraveling. So Beth just, I think, suddenly finds herself in Owen's place, experiencing his terror firsthand, and she watches as if he builds the reversed house, each step imbued with the desperation and fear. And this vision just reveals Owen's self-sacrifice in a very new light. And his battle with the entity, I think, wasn't just about saving Beth. It was more about the dealing the inevitable, or the one thing that cannot be fought, knowing that he couldn't escape the void forever. And on one night, Beth is just drawn to the lake by the whispers and the shadowy movements. And when she sees that there appears to be Owen standing on the water, just beckoning her closer. And as she approaches, the figure just transforms into a very shadowy and grotesque entity that just radiates malice. And we see the entity just taunts Beth, that revealing that it has been following her since her near-death experience, and it tells her that the nothing that she felt during the moment was its presence, and that Owen has been trying and failing to keep it at the very far side of the thing. The entity's revelation is horrifying. It shows the Beth vision of Owen's struggle, including the woman he lured into the house as a part of the futile attempts to just outsmart it. But each moment is a reminder that how deeply the void has been infiltrated in deep into their life, that how much, or I don't know to how much extent they are trying to do so, but the void is a void cannot be just fulfilled, and the entity just forces Beth to confront the one's darkest secrets, and she sees vision of him holding the woman captive, and their terrified faces, I think, just reflect of their own guilt they are having right now. However, he never harmed them, instead using them as a decoys to confuse the void. And Beth realizes that Owen's suicide was an act of defiance. By taking his own life, he hoped to just sever the entity's connection to Beth, sacrificing himself to protect her. And the realization just fills her with both the heartbreak and the newfound determination to just fight back. And we see at the climax of the film, actually, which is one of the most interesting part of this movie, that just unfolds as Beth is just lured back to the lake. Actually, the entity just, I think, recreates Owen's final moment, placing a gun in her hand and arguing her to end her life at the same moment. So the entity of the Owen actually just trying to confront Beth to take her own life. So he's just trying to manipulate by saying that if you take your own life, then you will be out of this circle and you will be with us. So this is kind of a very manipulating. But memories of Owen's love and Claire's friendship actually give the strength her to resist, and Claire just arrives in actually very much, I think, on right time to just pull Beth from the edge, because she was present in the, I think, nearly the middle of the lake, and Claire just, I think, tried, she just swim in between them and just break the path, so she could not have suicide at that time because she was having gun. The bond between actually the two women just act as a reminder of very important of that we should have a very strong human connection even in the face of overwhelming darkness. As the sun rises, Beth just stands on the docks that is just staring out at the lake, and especially the boat. The faint silhouette of the entity just lingers in the distance, a reminder that grief and trauma are not easily vanished. And though Beth has survived, the film just leaves the audience with a very ambiguous sense of hope, actually, that she has faced the darkness and emerged stronger. But the question just remains, can she just truly escape the void or not? And I think the entity was a manifestation of death or nothingness, actually, which reflects the Beth's own near-death experience and Owen's battle to protect her from it. And the movie suggests that while Owen just tried to shield her by building the reversed house and sacrificing himself, the void is not something that can be destroyed. It is ever present, waiting, and insidious. Even much like the emotions and fear that haunt those dealing with the loss. However, the ending also, I think, offers a very glimmer of hope, a glimmer of chance, a glimmer of battle, a courage, and Beth's just defiance of the entity just shows that she is not entirely powerless at all, and her survival was aided by Claire's intervention at that time, and underscores the importance of human connections, and the strength found in the relationships. While the void may actually remain, but Beth had just chosen life and the possibility of healing rather than surrendering to despair. And I think the movie just closes on a very open-ended note, leaving viewers like you and me to interpret whether the Beth victory is permanent or if a battle with the void is far from over. And the lingering silhouette in the lake just serves as very chilling reminder that the void is always there, but the choice to fight back and continue living is what it is present at the person's head or the mind, and especially right here in the character of the Beth. So the movie was actually good, and from the start of the movie, I think after 20 minutes, the movie really I think just takes off. So there is no complaint about the pacing of the movie, actually, and especially some of the scenes, especially the climax scene, just really felt hard, and you can just feel the connection for the character, and everything in the movie was actually right. The pacing, the introduction of the character with 3 or 4 main characters, and especially the relationship among them, the film just beautifully narrates the story. So it was all about the Night House, and if you like such breakdowns, do like, share, and subscribe for more such video only on Cinema Shadows. Thank you.